fiercely contested. And also it has been widely perceived so, even though it didn't turn out to be the case. But during the campaign process, all the pundits predict, it was going to be a very tight race. But nevertheless, you can tell that over the last 12 years, the turnout rate has slowly declined from almost 83% in year 2000 to 80 to 60, 76 to 74 this time. So which means that on the one hand, this is not unimpressive turnout rate. It's quite impressive. But just in comparison with Taiwan's past track record, you can argue that the passion of the island electorate remained high, but no longer at a traumatic level. And also, if you want to really to know the meaning of this 74% turnout rate, this still means that a great majority of the electorate, they still are motivated, to come out to vote. Because this 74% turnout rate, when you do some necessary adjustment, will be converted into a de facto turnout rate well over 80%. Because we don't have the so-called absentee ballot under our election rules. So there are sizable portion of the electorate. For whatever reason, they are eligible to vote, but they are physical, just financially or physically impossible for them to do so. For instance, that at any point in time, you have about at least 3% of the population who are either hospitalized or confined to bed. And then you have active, duty military officer, law enforcement officer who were stationed at places far away from their home. Then you still have a large number of expatriates who, either stay in mainland China or east coast of this country, who, for whatever reason, they couldn't afford going back to cast a vote. So in this sense, this is still a very high turnout rate. Although, you can see the passion has attenuated over time. So basically, I argue that signs of over-mobilization have gradually dissipated. The scale of mass rally, especially during the last few weeks of the campaign, was still very impressive. People are always impressed with the kind of the rally, the two camps will be able to put together. But nevertheless, it has drawn a steadily smaller crowd. I think this is actually a healthy sign for democracy, for young democracy.
That's the healthy sign of
but obviously we still have a very many enthusiastic voters. On a wedding day like this, this lady clearly have her priority, and I think there's another important aspect of this election that should not go went unnoticed. You can easily tell that you see the waning of the national identity cleavage in this election. This is the first national race where the Taiwan independence issue was not on the agenda, at least not explicitly so. The DPP held back its frontal challenge to the legitimacy of the state structure under ROC Constitution. Also, they didn't attack the Constitution itself. No more tactical move to tie a provocative referendum to a presidential race, also the first time in recent memory. And also the national identity issue has been overtaken by the debate over the 1992 consensus. In a significant way, I also argue that politics of polarization this time has taken a milder and less divisive character. Among the pan-Green constituency, aspiration for Taiwan independence has been replaced by the fear of being infiltrated and assimilated by China. But at the same time, for a lot of pan-Green voters, a victory by Ma is no longer feared as something like the end of the world. I believe that his 3-no pledge, no unification, no independence, and no use force, help in part neutralize this anxiety and hold off this potentially explosive issue. I will also argue that this is an election with civility. Something has been in short supply in the past. Mind You's mainlander background was never an issue. Neither was Tsai Ing-wen's gender or marital status. No major dispute over the fairness or freeness of the election. I wouldn't say no dispute, but no major dispute. No more bizarre incidents or dubious shocking events on the eve of the election day. Although both can practice negative campaign, which has become a feature of modern democracy, unfortunately, also in this country. But I believe that overall speaking, the campaign was conducted by and large within the limit of reason and popular tolerance. And the DPP camp on the night of the election day gracefully and calmly accepted the outcome. However, this election, I think, is also a very meaningful one in the sense that it does provide voters some substantive debate over very important issues. It offers the voter a meaningful choice. Okay? I identify 3 issues which define this presidential race. The first and foremost issue is cross-strait relations. Mind You's more conciliatory approach to cross-strait relations was subject to a timely popular approval or accountability, if you will. And the second issue is about integrity, capability, experience of the leadership. The third issue is about which party is more capable of addressing the economic challenge brought about by the euro crisis in the short run and growing socio-economic inequality in the long run. Another, I think, a very important aspect of this election is that this election has exerted, I will argue, very strong demonstration effect across the strait among the viewers of mainland Chinese citizens. It was estimated that more than 400 million internet and cell phone subscribers in the mainland were following the event closely, especially on election day. Mainland Chinese viewer was amazed by the orderly and peaceful conclusion of an otherwise tumultuous democratic contest. The interest and curiosity in Taiwan's democratic process was so overwhelming among mainland Chinese citizens, netizens I should say, the Beijing Cyber Police Authority in the end dropped the idea of erecting a firewall against Taiwan-based news media during the campaign. So all the major news media, the television and also newspaper, they are easily accessible by the mainland Chinese internet user during the campaign season. This is actually the first time it has happened this way. Let me also say a few words about what we can draw from this outcome and what accounts for the way the campaign was run, and also the way the popular vote, eventually how it has distributed between the two major parties. I think, in simple terms, I think a majority of electorate found no reason to this time to replace the incumbent with a proven track record with someone with unknown quantity. A majority of voters did not feel that they should unseat an incumbent president who has brought peace to the strait, earned the trust of major allies, expanded the island's international space, managed the impact of global financial crisis relatively well, and kept his promise of delivering clean politics. Especially stability-conscious middle class and the business community wanted to stay on the course of cross-strait rapprochement and preserve momentum of reinvigorating Taiwan's economic vitality. And the other side of the same coin is why Taiwan failed to live up to the expectation that she might be able to expand the DPP electoral base, especially among the young voter, the first-timer. I identify a couple of explanatory sources. One is that I think the DPP cosmetic adjustment to its China policy did not bode well at both fronts. It is too vague to convince the independent voter, and too timid to galvanize its traditional supporter. And also, if you look at the statistics after the election, Tsai brought very little cocktail effect to the party. As a matter of fact, among the 73 parliamentary districts, in 19 districts, her popular vote were actually lower than what her party's candidate for LY got. So that tell you that at least in some of the DPP stronghold, the pan-green voter were not as enthusiastic as she had hoped for. During the campaign, Tsai Ing-wen and her campaign team placed a lot of emphasis on the issue of social-economic equality. On the one hand, it was a very rational choice, to shift the emphasis away from the cross-strait, away from national identity, and then place emphasis on some emerging cleavage. However, I don't think this issue necessarily gave the DPP any decisive competitive edge, because KMT itself has been a catch-all party for all its history, and the party is also inherited with the legacy of ideological eclecticism. So, which means that there's no baggage, on the KMT side, that it will objectional to say expanding welfare program or provide public housing to the younger households, things like that. So basically, KMT, whenever some new policy issue pop up and are similarly popular, the KMT simply tried to incorporate those socio-economic issues onto its own agenda. And then one can also argue that DPP ticket was not as strong as it can be. Had Susan Tang teamed up with Tsai Ing-wen, I believe